always about being storyboards for the little director inside your head. So you'd see a panel and your imagination would kick in and it would just transport you to a whole other world. They were my friends when I was growing up. And to this day I feel that comics, or rather sequential art, whether it's a comic or a graphic novel, is still that same portal to transport you away to another world if you've had a bad day at school, or a bad day at work, or a row with your wife, or a row with your husband, whatever it is. And for me, that was really the motivation for me wanting to have Tales at Midnight. Having had the comic shop, I know how difficult it is for an independent publisher to maintain distribution for a new title. It's very difficult. There is only really one major distributor for comic books in the world, and that's a company called Diamond Distribution. And they play it very safe. At the end of the day, if your book is a big seller from day one, they'll stock it, they'll distribute it, and they'll make it accessible to the masses. If, on the other hand, it's a new title that's taking its time to get awareness and become established, as a distributor, they're not in the business of supporting new independent titles to that level to keep carrying it month in, month out, irrespective of whether or not it's got the sales. And knowing this, I thought, well, I really want to tell the story about these characters in Tales of Midnight. And I self-published the comic to begin with myself in the shop, and it sold out, which was great. But I knew that even though it sold out in a relatively limited run, it wasn't enough to really make a distribution company like Diamond get behind it and keep behind it month after month. So I decided the best thing to do was to try and create an awareness and a demand for it outside of the comic industry through a licensing campaign to try and get companies interested in the characters, either through their imagery or through the story, and ask companies if they've been interested in producing products which would create brand awareness for the characters and the property ahead of the comic book being published through the comic industry. We've got these fantastic things. These are desktop calendars. You can peel the character off and put it on your exercise book, your lunchbox, collectible sketchbooks, limited edition prints.